It is a beautiful day inside of Studio Triple J, and that can mean only one thing, and that means the Protect You podcast is back, folks. Welcome on into another episode here. It's Tuesday, Jay, and that always gets me excited. I never really get excited for Tuesdays all too often, but with this going on, there's a lot to be happy about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's my favorite week of the year. Love Thanksgiving. That is my favorite holiday.
Really?
Jake. Like, I love Thanksgiving. I love it. And the reason being is because I get to go outside and deep fry my turkey. And that's like an annual tradition now. And, you know, and I take pride in it, Jake. Like, I'll be going out and scoping out not the live turkey, but the fresh turkeys.
Yes.
Tomorrow or this evening or tomorrow. And then it comes with the injection after cleaning it out, gutting it out, putting on the rub, you know, like I spend time with the turkey, right? I can spend time with it. And then you got to let it marinate for over 24 hours, right? And let it get in. And then it's something about dropping it in that peanut oil and just watching that thing start to crisp. So anyway, but yeah, I love that, obviously. And then, of course, with Thanksgiving comes football.
Of course.
And the way that the world is now, it can't be just two games. It can't be just the Lions and the Cowboys anymore.
Nope.
Now we get like 3 games. You got a college game that'll be worked in there somehow. Football all day. But yeah, this is my favorite week, my favorite holiday, and I cannot wait until Thursday to get it going.
I'm more of a Christmas guy. I'll be real with you. However, I'm not like the Christmas guy that does like the second Halloween is over, we got to throw up all the Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
We got to give Thanksgiving its due diligence,
Okay.
right? I really love just the whole family vibe, I feel like, of Thanksgiving, people coming together and then just being able to collaborate after a while.
And
because
that's important.
Yes, and I think that's what the spirit of the holiday is all about. So I'm with you too.
Yeah.
And I like too that the food and the cooking, that's where it really comes out as Thanksgiving.
That's
because
important.
you can't bring something to the potluck and have it be something that gets passed over.
Exactly.
You got to bring something
be
iconic and something that you can trust in.
Yeah, and another thing too I would like to add is that for all these guys that love to just forget about Thanksgiving and right after Halloween they want to put up Christmas decorations, boo-hoo to you. Stop doing that. Stop overlooking Thanksgiving.
It's all of those.
Put it up on Black Friday.
It's all those stores too, like I know Home Depot, Walmart, and whatnot. They'll always throw up the Christmas decorations. Like, yo, too early.
Too early.
Way too early.
Right. Like, why do you go from freaking Halloween to Christmas? I don't understand that. I got some friends that like they can't wait to get the Christmas tree out. They get it out on November 1st. Why? Anyway.
No. Could not be me. Could not be me.
My favorite week, I'm not going to let y'all ruin it for me. Christmas earlier, guys. Computer Jesus, what you got going on this week, brother?
We just have family over. We smoke turkeys. So we're smoking 2 turkeys.
There you go.
We brine them for 24 hours like that, you know.
Okay.
There you go.
My
So-
wife will make a whole bunch of sides, pies.
All that. Now, does the entire family get to see your face, or do you still hide behind the camera? Because we know how secretive you are. You don't want the world to know what you look like. Jake and I are 2 of the men that are blessed to actually know how you look, and we run into you in HEB.
I'm usually outside smoking. They can stay inside. Do whatever.
So to confirm, Computer Jesus has family members that still have not seen his face.
But it's also too, I like that you got the 2 domains as well here. If it's like, I'm gonna be outside smoking the turkey, y'all can come see it if you want to, but you know where to find me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my dad too. That's my dad, where he's like, look, leave me alone in the kitchen. If I ask for help, that's when you could come in and help me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, leave me alone.
And that's what I love about my role, because I only got to drop the turkey. So once I get the turkey ready to roll, like, I'm good all day.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Ashley will be in there with her mom and they'll be doing all the fixings and making all the things, right? And I just need to know when we're an hour out.
There you go.
And then I can go outside, put on football, drop the bird, watch it, and make sure that everything's going smooth out there while I'm watching. Probably at that point, it'll be, I think she wants to eat at like 3. So maybe the Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers game is
Roughly,
in the fourth quarter. So, but that's perfect.
There you go.
And I'm excited.
No, that's a great plan. That's a great plan, Jay. I'm looking forward to getting able to go up, see some family of mine as well. I know we got some plans that I'm just the guy who gets told things now, Jay. I'm not necessarily like the Jake.
Now.
Because even then it was like, all right, you got these people are coming over, you got this person coming over, you got this person coming over. We need you to do this, 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 and this.
Okay.
Whereas now with me being out of town and away from the family,
Gotcha.
it's more so sort of just like just save me a seat. just save me a seat and give me a couple pieces of turkey and I'll be happy.
Are you at the big table or you still at the kids' table?
I'm at the big table.
You got to see at the big table now?
Oh, yeah.
That's good, Jake.
We were always, too. We were never the family that did the adult table and the kids' table. It was sort of just like we just throw them at the end of the table and then just let them have their own conversations type of thing.
I got you.
Okay, so Sean Cash on YouTube says, Etna says it's called premature Christmas actuation.
There you go.
Okay, so it's Adita. That is Sean's better half. Thank y'all for watching, by the way. And yeah, so Adita, she is one of those ones, right? That she likes to have Christmas early. I don't understand.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. But hey, to each his own. To each his own. And it's going to be turkey and football day, and I'm ready for it.
Absolutely.
Speaking of football, we got some big boys to talk about, Jake.
Because
it is now time for ball, and you get the call.
Absolutely, man. And we talked about, too, this has been really tough to narrow down a lot of these because, as some of y'all may know, hopefully y'all know, we are in the postseason for high school football across the board. And the deeper and deeper we get, the more interesting things we're going to continue to see from not just the other high schoolers, but especially members of the Protect You crew. And those of y'all, the keen-eyed viewers of the Protect You podcast, may remember this name and this highlight thinking, wait a minute, y'all already showed this to us. Why are you showing it again? No, folks. When I say that CJ Carnell Jackson Jr. has gotten back-to-back rushing touchdowns in back-to-back games, you better believe we are coming with the footage.
And you look at the big fella. By the way, for the ones that are just watching the show, he's a nose guard. He's a nose guard. He's supposed to be on the defense side of football. The Kansas State commit, one of the proud members of the Protect You crew, is doing his thing. They showed how they needed him offensively. And, so proud of CJ. Cannot wait to get him here to the H-Town, here in H-Town, so we can, show love to our 2026 class. But, CJ has shown the nation what he can do. I love the fact that he got to end his high school career with, having back-to-back games with a touchdown. I mean, just showing the footwork and the quickness makes people understand why I have been calling this young man the next Warren Sapp. CJ is an absolute stud that will not only be dominating on Saturdays come next fall, but this young man will be dominating on Sundays. Mark my word, mark it down, get a picture. Take a picture, write it down. Jake and I don't care. We know what time it is with this young man because he is a baller.
And from one interior defensive lineman over to another, and one of the most recent additions to the Protect You crew in the form of Kingston Byer, who did an excellent job holding down the interior of the defensive line for his squad in their rivalry matchup against Fort Worth Christian. Big number 3 in the interior there. You talked about his 4-point stance. And he is just intimidating.
Yes, no, like Sean Cash was up there with me, a good buddy of mine, business partner with Texas Pines Elite. And, that was the first thing Sean said. He goes, I saw the stance and I knew he was a dog. And Dad was up there for their visit. We'll show a picture in a little bit of it, Louisiana Tech. But look at the get off. I mean, don't get me wrong. That was terrible on the center and the guard. Going to throw that out there. However, Kingston's like, I don't care. You make a mistake, I'm going to capitalize. This young man's get off. And then, of course, there's that picture. Kingston and myself up at La Tech for his official visit there. But, this young man possesses a lot of moving pieces, right? Not only can he play in the 4 technique, but he also can play off of the edge as well. His quickness, his size, how he learns to keep his hands extended and free, and all the things that all my interior coaches have loved about Kingston is now coming to fruition because the tape don't lie, Jake. And as we saw, if he gets one paw on you, it's a wrap, right? So Kingston is definitely a young man that we're expecting a lot of things, right? The 2027, which is great for him because 26s are now getting wrapped up. We'll talk about that here a little bit later in the show. But once January hits and that portal closes, bam, it is all eyes on that 2027 class. And so, we've already got a lot of schools that have reached out, showing a lot of interest in regards to Kingston. I mean, Louisiana Tech, Rice University, just to name a couple. But Kingston is going to be on the summer circuit looking for those 3, 4, and 5-star offensive linemen. So y'all better strap it up and be ready to roll because Kingston's going to be coming to continue to make a name for himself.
Yes, he and All Saints have been doing an excellent job during this postseason. They got a 38-21 win over Fort Worth Christian to advance to the semifinals of the TAPS D2 Texas High School Private School ranks. But then moving on, we have one last tidbit here and welcoming back Javion Martin to the mix here at Protection United. And not only that, he got out there and he put on a show in his first game back as a Protect You crew member.
Oh, exactly.
Major contributions to the offensive and defensive side of the ball for the Willis Wildcats in their 34-27 win over Tomball.
Yeah, and this is what's so special about him, why I call him the next Brock Bowers, because he split out right here. Great concentration. Notice the late hands. That's what people don't understand. A lot of times you can give it away when you don't, when you show your hands too early, right? The fact that he kept his hands in tight the last minute, can play in the three-point stance, can beat a sniffer, can also split out. Obviously, there on that one play, he was an edge rusher. Was setting the block, and then right there, he was an edge rusher because he also the two-way starter for Willis Wildcats, one of the top tight ends in the nation, national recruit, currently committed to University of Houston. But as y'all can see, he can also play on the defensive side of the football, and he continued to keep Willis going for them to have their third straight week of practicing during Thanksgiving week, my favorite week, as they get ready for the third round of the playoffs. And we'll be talking about who they got up next. But Javion Martin has shown time and time again that he is that guy. I just can't express what we have seen from just the sheer size and to be able to move. When you're that big and you can run a 4.5, that's scary, right? With the fact that you can walk around and you fill out not only your pads, but just in regular everyday clothes, you look up and you're like, man, that's a intimidating individual. But once again, a great young man. He's raised by a great family. Jonathan Martin and his family, father's been done a phenomenal job raising him and helping him understand and navigate through everyday life, as well as, being a student, as well as also being a football player and understanding how to move and groove through all the course of life. And this young man's future is bright. And he's another one that I truly believe will be playing on Sundays because he is a mismatch nightmare.
Yes, and obviously a warm welcome back on into the fold for all of the Martin family as we continue to move on through. And we talked about it earlier, and we talk about the high school playoffs, where as we get deeper and deeper, the talent continues to get better and better, and the stakes continue to get higher for the members of the Protect You crew. And we're going to do our due diligence to highlight the guys that have made it this far into the postseason. In some states, 3 rounds, and in some states, 4 rounds deep into the state playoffs. And we talk about 4 rounds deep because Alabama started a week ahead of everybody else. So they are currently inside of the state semifinals for theirs. And the AHSAA and the 3A ranks, we start out with none other than Raleigh, Pinto, and Piedmont as the Bulldogs get ready to take on Mars Hill Bible on November 28th on a Black Friday matchup. Jay, very excited to see that one go down.
Yeah, exactly. Raleigh's, going to be leading his team hopefully to a state championship, but he's got another round before he can get to that ship. And so definitely excited for Raleigh. Cannot wait to see what he does.
And then moving on now to Louisiana, where they join in the state quarterfinals. And we'll start out with the LHSAA Division I non-select. There's a lot of words there getting through those classifications, but we go now to Isaiah Stokes as Zachary continues to fight and continues to claw their way through the D1 non-select ranks as they will get ready to take on Central on Black Friday as well.
Yeah, just another great young man. I'm excited and cannot wait to, see what they do and see if they can continue to make their magical run as well. And, Isaiah being one of their top players on the defensive side of the football and, see if that defense can hold it down for a couple more weeks so then they can get some hardware as well.
Absolutely. And then holding down on the special teams side of it as well in the D3 non-select is Ryan Reeder and Union Parish, who did an excellent job getting a great upset win over Erath in what was one of the top-ranked teams in Louisiana. But Ryan Reeder and Union Parish took them down, and they'll get ready to take on Kinder in round 3.
Yeah, exactly. And we understand the importance of the kicking game, right? As fans of football, right? Kickers can frustrate you. Well, Ryan's not one of them, right? Ryan's a guy with a money leg. obviously y'all saw has money hair as well. So, but yeah, no, hopefully Ryan can continue to do what he does. And when he gets his opportunities, get those 3 points or those extra points, right? That are so critical in these games when it comes to wins and losses, and continue to help his team move on in the playoffs too.
And this is a guy, too, that behind the scenes has been doing an excellent job keeping us updated, getting us his stats. He has been perfect on kicks throughout the postseason, Jay. So we're very excited to see what Union Parish and Ryan, respectively, will end up doing as they move deeper in. And then rounding out the Louisiana guys, it's none other than Alex Fontenot and Alexandria as they continue to bull charge their way through the Louisiana State playoffs and the D1 select ranks. They will get ready to take on Catholic on Black Friday.
And that's semifinals, correct, for them?
Yes. So, but the interesting thing about this one, though, Jay, is this is only the second game that Alexandria will have played in the playoffs because they did so well in the regular season that they got a first-round bye.
I like that. I like that they do that in Louisiana. It's almost like giving respect to the regular season, right? Now the regular season does mean a little bit more from a regular season championship. So, but still, I mean, we've been talking about Alex a lot for the newbies that are watching. He's one of the top receivers in the state of Louisiana, 2027. So he's got a whole nother year. But this young man is he's special. He's special. And the things that he's been doing all season long, I think, right? I mean, we almost expect him to be in the Superdome come December I believe, 13th, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's the 11th through the 13th, so depending on, what day, they play. But I expect him to be in the dome when it's all said and done, leading his team.
No doubt on that one. We appreciate the help, too, that the Fontenot family has been getting us of the videos, the highlights, and the stats as well. Y'all have been incredibly supportive. We hope to show a little bit of that love and reciprocate it here on the Protect You podcast. And now we round out with the state of Texas as we move into the state quarterfinals for some and the state semifinals for the TAPS divisions. But we'll start out with the 6A Division I schools and what is one of the most anticipated matchups in the state of Texas as Klein Collins gets ready to take on perennial powerhouse Duncanville, and EJ Lartigue will be leading the charge for the Klein Collins Tigers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's our guy. I mean, he is one of the best centers in the state of Texas. I mean, he's just a mauler. And, what a great opportunity for our guy EJ to go against, that defensive front that Duncanville has, which is not only one of the top in the state, but one of the top in the nation. And he's going to have to handle his business against nothing but P4 recruits all the way across the board. So these are the opportunities that you want, right? We can't guarantee those type of opportunities for our guys because you never know when someone's going to lose in the playoffs and when they're going to get the matchup and how all that stuff works. But the fact that the opportunity is here now for EJ to now show every coach in the nation that we've been telling in the nation, hey, this is a dude. We get that he played right tackle last year. I get that he might not have all the film that your metrics say you need in order of how many times you've seen him snap the football. But you guys know a football player when you know one. And if you don't, you're about to see one if you watch this Klein Collins game against Duncanville and watch EJ literally lead his team up and down the field and create just massive running lanes for their backs.
And from one powerhouse team now over to another as Brandon Hebert, a guy that we've been getting a lot of noise about, gets ready to take on Cypress Falls, leading that North Shore front, Jay. Very excited to see this guy get some action on Black Friday as well.
Oh, yeah. And this is a 2027 as well. Brandon Hebert. Sean, if you're watching, he was also a part of that Super Marlins team, right, that Billy Mitchell had with Jay Storm Knight as well as Dylan Mitchell. But Braden Hebert, right? I mean, North Shore is doing what North Shore does, right? They could have their homecoming every Thanksgiving because they're going to always be sitting in this third round waiting. And the fact that Brandon is starting on this offensive line as a junior speaks high volumes because typically North Shore has nothing but senior-led talent because they're so deep and so much enriched when it comes to that, especially from the young men in the trenches. So Brandon Hebert has been a guy, been high on their radar, and he is doing a phenomenal job holding it down at that right tackle position.
And the most that they've given up in any single game so far in this postseason run was just 14 for North Shore. So they've been doing an excellent job on both sides of the ball. And now we shift over to the Division II ranks for UIL 6A, and none other than the Willis Wildcats as they get ready to take on Forney, on Saturday, along with Klein Collins and Duncanville also going down on Saturday. And it makes an interesting conundrum there, as Jamal Lagway will be one of the leading members of that Willis High School team. So interesting decision there to be made for Derek of, do I go and watch DJ on rivalry day, or do I go watch Jamal on what might be one of the biggest jumps that Willis makes all year?
I agree. And it's going to be tough for the Lagway fan. They might have to go divide and conquer. Maybe Nikki goes to Florida with DJ. Derek's there for Jamal. Who knows? Maybe they got to flip a coin. I don't know what goes down in the Lagway house, but I do know this. Jamal Lagway has completely made a name for himself. He has gone from DJ's little brother to Jamal Lagway. This young man currently sits on 4 P4 offers, right, with the biggest being A&M in Florida, just to name a few. And he now gets to sit on that island and go against, right, some of the top players in the nation. Jamal's only a 2028, right? He's only a sophomore. This young man is shown what he can do, went from the freshman field straight to the varsity field, and he hadn't missed a beat, right? And so, Jamal is going to be one of those island DBs that we know, Jake, based off of just conversations we've had with coaches and general managers of, those guys are important and they're needed, right? And so it's going to be fun to watch Jamal on Saturday evening, and can't wait to see what he does against, Fortney?
Yes, against Forney. Yep. And not only will it be Jamal Lagway, but it'll also be Javion out there getting some action, getting some reps on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. We're very excited to see what he might end up doing against a Jackrabbit squad out of Forney.
Exactly. No, Scoop is going to definitely be out there to dominate and continue this magical run for Willis High School that, was told that this is going to be a rebuilding year, right? And everyone knew about Jermaine Bishop Jr. Now they're getting to really learn about Javion Scoop Martin. And, he's going to do his thing on both sides of the football. Without a doubt, we know he's going to handle his business, and we're looking forward to watching him as well.
And one team that has definitely been handling its business throughout this postseason run has been CE King, taking down some great powerhouse squads and even some inadvertent friendly fire as well in the last round, taking down Summer Creek. But Dylan Mitchell has been
Shadow Creek.
Shadow Creek. It's Shadow Creek. And Dylan Mitchell has been one of the leading powerhouses for that CE King offense. The sort of Swiss Army knife that you would want out of any undersized guy, but man, when he gets in the open field, he makes you pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the fastest walking young men on this earth, right? Don't forget, guys, this young man finished 4th in the 100-meter dash in the state of Texas. I want y'all to go look up them times. As a freshman, Dylan Mitchell, a.k.a. Superman, a.k.a. Mr. Autopilot, is helping CE King come from just the team in that powerhouse district that just does okay to now they're up top to where they're beating teams like Summer Creek that came into the preseason ranked in the nation. And Dylan Mitchell has been a huge part of this, whether it's in the special teams game or running punts or kickoffs back, to now being a slot receiver that is become unguardable. And what we're seeing with Dylan is going to be something that we're going to see for a long time to come, Jake.
Absolutely, that we are. And another guy that we're going to be looking at for quite a while after this one too will be the guys out of College Park as they get ready to take on DeSoto, which if you know those two programs, you know who's at the helm for College Park, you know that that's a great storyline going into that matchup. But with regards to Protection United, we'll keep it on the gridiron because Marco Beltran will be one of the leading figures out there for College Park. One of the guys that other sources have already cited will be a big impact player in this matchup. And the future New Mexico player will get out there for the Cavaliers.
No, exactly. Yeah, no, Marco's that ball hawk. His importance of, coming downhill and helping with run stopping ability, as well as, being a ball hawk right at that safety position and reading that quarterback's eyes. It's going to be huge when you're going against a team like the DeSoto Eagles, which once again, another team that is ranked in the nation. So it's going to be a big, big opportunity for Marco to also show the nation that he has earned the right to compete on the biggest of stages.
And also joining Marco in that defensive backfield for the Cavaliers will be none other than Jordan White, the island commander out there, the island hopper, and a guy that just is looking to get out there and make a name for himself against some of the best receivers in the nation.
Yeah, and the best one is Booby Feaster, right? You're looking at a 5-star receiver. He is currently committed, and I know will be confirmed committed next week to USC, and that is University of Southern California, not South Carolina for my Southerners. But, Jordan White has a huge opportunity, right? 2027 DB on that island. You go stop a Booby Feaster, you now have shown that you can stop any other receiver in the nation if you're going against the number one receiver that is currently rated on Max Preps as well as on 3 in regards to that. So going to be a huge, huge battle and a huge opportunity. And that's what I'm so excited about our guys because of that reason, Jake.
Yes, and last but certainly not least, rounding out the Texas players out of TAPS Division II. Now in the semifinals for the TAPS players, out of All Saints is none other than Kingston Byer. We already showed off that he's got a tremendous amount of strength. He's got great physical abilities with him, and he will be looking to pay it all out against Regents on Black Friday.
Oh, yeah. I mean, whether they double team, triple team, my guy, it doesn't matter. Kingston is going to be a force to be reckoned with. So good luck to their opponent, because I don't know how you're going to stop that monster. I mean, he doesn't quit. He doesn't understand quit. He goes hard every freaking play. And I know his dad, Steven, is going to be a proud papa when they get that dub, and then they'll be competing for a state championship here in, another week or two, depending on how that goes. But, yeah, no, definitely excited to watch Kingston ball out, and he's going to get it done.
Yes.
I'm biased, but I'm also confident in our guys.
No, I don't doubt it for a second that Kingston and the rest of that squad out there at All Saints are going to get the work done that they absolutely need to. And speaking of guys, too, that get work done is none other than Rod Kinney. Behind the scenes, Rod has been one of the biggest supporters of Protection United in terms of hooking us up and continuing to grow our Fort Bend Travis army that we've been assembling here as members of the Protect You crew. We've brought on, obviously, Davis. We brought on the Vilmels. And now we're going to bring on another offensive player. Yes.
Dylan. Got to talk about Big Bro.
Another great addition to that one. Brew is another great addition to that one as well. And now the guy that's been slinging the ball back there for him as well. They said, you know what? Have a quarterback too while y'all are at it.
Yeah, why not?
We got all the defensive guys. We got a wide receiver now. Why don't you just take the quarterback for good measure?
Why not, Rod?
So
close with Rod.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with that, now we bring on the newest member of the Protect You crew, and it's none other than the gunslinger Luke DeAnda and the Fort Bend Travis QB class of 2028. Jay, a lot of opportunities for this guy to continue to grow and develop his skills as he moves forward ahead of a Division I collegiate career.
Exactly. I mean, look at the young gun. I mean, like you mentioned, 2028. And, as you see, as his family's getting ready to roll, I mean, he's a guy that, I mean, you see just over the top, beautiful ball, perfect air underneath it. And, I mean, this young man has already had some varsity experience. He wasn't just on JV the whole season, actually got to, start and play in a few games. And, I mean, you just see just the talent, and like I mentioned, 2028, he's got 2 more years of high school football, but yet he's already understanding how to properly read a defense, understanding, when to release the football, right? I mean, just look at the body control, right? The pump fake, and then look at this run. I mean, stop it. I mean, this is stupid.
Come on now.
Man, he's showing the strength. Daddy, former coach, Dad's also really big on his strength and conditioning. I mean, it's great parents that are all in, even the great grandparents that also love their grandson. And you're looking at, a Luke that I personally feel is going to get the opportunity to lead someone on Saturdays as well, just because of his size. He meets the eye test with his measurables. But most importantly, man, his moxie in the pocket. I mean, this young man, doesn't get rattled a whole lot. He knows how to create another pocket. He knows how to step up. He can make all the throws from any arm angle. Obviously a lot of coaches don't like people throwing off the back foot, but however, he can do it, right? And because you can do it, then you roll with it, right? So very excited to be working with Luke. Cannot wait until, we get him really going and getting him fully acclimated in, our system in regards to the additional recruiting, right? Helping him in regards to, the push with how things need to look and be presented on social media, and helping this young man move up the ladder in that long line of high school football players. And how do we help him get to other eyes of college coaches, right? And that's what, we feel very blessed to do here for our guys here at Protection United. And once again, all our guys have got to do is continue to perform on the field. We're going to do our job off the field. And, the collectiveness of that normally equals success.
and he joins now an arsenal of quarterbacks here assembling at Protection United. You talk about Coleman, you talk about Harley, Zay joining those ranks, Zane bringing in the ranks.
Exactly. Corbin Smeckle. I mean,
say
QBU.
We're gathering them like the Infinity Stones, Jay.
I love that. I love that. And also, too, guys, by the way, please go to our YouTube page, Protection United, like it, subscribe, and if you make a comment or want to ask a question, Computer Jesus just might put it on the air and bring it up so that way you can get some shine and we can answer your question or respond to your comments. So, and we appreciate all the support too, by the way.
Of course, because we know that this is involved very heavily. A lot of the families like to get deeply involved with this, as they should, because this is more than just an investment play for them. This is the future of their kids, their financial future as well, and what that might look like in terms of a higher education at the next level. Exactly. So we really do appreciate each and every one of y'all getting in. And I think speaking of parents too, Jay, you and I have been following this story for over a month now, it seems like, since the news first broke. And I think you gave me and BJ the news that broke in the middle of a Buffalo Wild Wings
dinner meeting.
Yes, it was a dinner meeting. The dinner meeting that we had. But the news coming out of the state of Ohio and their final verdict on the ruling of NIL for high schoolers has finally come down. And the OHSAA has approved NIL for high schoolers with a vote of 447 for, 121 against, and 247 abstaining. So NIL will now open up to all high schoolers, starting with the 2026 graduating class. Jay, you and I have talked about how some of this needs to really get the ball rolling in terms of opening up the doors for other states, as this one was brought forward due to a temporary restraining order and a lawsuit from a parent arguing about the lost revenue and the potential for lost revenue that her son could be making. So there's a lot of things that go into that in terms of the behind the scenes work, but now that it's all out in front for those to see, the doors have finally opened for Ohio high schoolers.
Yeah, and for now, I want to just shelve the other states that have not bought in. Let me just take time here to show love to the state of Ohio. This is a state that they got it right. I've been a huge advocate for, these young men and young ladies to be able to, earn revenue off of their name, likeness, name, image, and likeness, excuse me. We look at situations where I've said time and time again, if it's okay for them to go work for Chick-fil-A and go sell the chicken, but then they can't market the chicken. They can go get a job at Old Navy or Gap or any clothing store in the mall and go sell the product, but they can't represent the product. That just didn't make sense to me, and it still doesn't make sense to me. So I am so glad that the state of Ohio, a good number of other states, have recognized that it's really kind of a contradictory here, and why can't they go earn a living, right? It's being done the right way. It's being monitored. Right? They have to make deliverables on their social media pages, what we've been seeing in regards to at least every deal that we've gotten our collegiate athletes, as well as some of our athletes in other states that do allow NIL, that they have to make their posts, they have to do their reels, they got to do all the things that comes with that. There's a real contract, and on that contract shows everything in detail of what needs to transpire in order for them to fully fulfill that contract. So I tip my hat to you, state of Ohio. I'm so happy for all those young men and those young ladies that now they have an opportunity, because the other side of it that most people don't really understand, and I just kind of came out of it, right, with Jalen, right? You're looking at a situation with, there's a lot of training involved to be a D1 athlete and to get there. There isn't, you just go to practice and you have your God-gifted talent, and then that's got to be a be-all, end-all. A lot of these athletes have 4 to 5 different trainers that are helping them with their crafts. Then you got a stretch appointment. Then you have someone that's going to give you a massage. Then you got the cryo or the red light therapy appointments. There is a lot that goes into where you don't have time to really work 20, 30 hours a week just to go make money. So if you have an opportunity for a company to say, hey, come to this photo shoot, market our company. We're going to do a video and a photo shoot, 3 hours of your time, and we're going to spread this out over 6 months, and you're going to be compensated for that. There's nothing wrong with that. And in my opinion, Jake, that's the American way. That is the American dream. That is capitalism at its finest. if you are a remarkable young man, young lady, you do things the right way, which that's the other thing. We all believe in the theory that it takes a village. Well, if we can tell now young athletes that, hey, you have an opportunity to do this and make money if you don't put anything stupid on social media, if you don't do anything bad, if you are a model student, if you are a good teammate, if you are coachable, because those marketing brand companies are investing in these athletes looking for the return of their investment. They only want to invest in the ones that they know other people will believe in and they'll follow. You talk about one of the best life lessons that can be given to an athlete by encouraging them to do the right thing every day of the week, because you never know when the camera is going to be on you and when the opportunity will present itself. So a lot of life lessons in this, a lot of opportunities. And once again, Ohio, I applaud you. I am so happy for those athletes, Jake. And I think we need to go ahead and kind of start making our mark into the state of Ohio. Let's go find some high school athletes that maybe we can bless with some of the brand companies that we've been able to partner up with and help them continue to grow their brand and get compensated along the way.
I mean, shoot, Jay, I'd be all for it. As we've seen Protection United, both behind the scenes and then now with a lot of the athletes that we've been bringing on, we've been looking to expand, continue to grow out of the states that we currently represent our athletes in. And I think Ohio represents that one really well in terms of planting that flag farther north in the nation as well. And I think I like the point, and I'll expand on it just a little bit too, of this being a great equal opportunity investment for the state of Ohio, of saying, obviously, that the football side of it is going to be the main moneymaker. That is where a majority of the investment is going to come from. But in terms of elevating female athletes and making sure that women's sports and the Title IX sports, as they're so-called, continue to grow and make sure that those opportunities are provided for them, the more that we invest into women's basketball, the more that we invest into softball, the more that we invest into volleyball, the more those opportunities are going to grow up, and the more those role models and those strong opportunities for women to be the poster children for their sports will continue to be what we want them to be. That's what we need. We need more strong male and we need more strong female athletes to be the beacons of exemplary athleticism that they are. We see it here, obviously, with Samara Coleman, and that takes a big name to do it in some states. But in a state like Ohio, where there's a great mix between Title IX sports and the sports like football and basketball, I feel like there's a great opportunity for them to elevate women's sports to a higher level, to the point where we may be saying and looking at comparable-ish deals between men's and women's sports, Jay.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you on that, Jake. And it kind of leads right to, our next point here, right? I liked how you spun that in regards to our other guys. Man, you're a professional, Jake.
I try to be, Jay.
You're really good at what you do. But yeah, now kind of talking about what I've been going through, right, this past week in regards to the contract and negotiations, as well as the revenue shares, right? Because you hit on a good point about how now these universities, typically the way we've at least seen it, you get your rev share, all the P4s are getting a little over $20 million a year. And they've been putting about 80% of that to football, obvious reasons. 10% has been going to men's basketball. 5% has been going to ladies basketball, or women's basketball, I should say. And then the other 5% are going to all of the rest of the Title IX sports, including the non-revenue generating sports, right? Which has kind of been a really, I would say, not really looked at in a positive light, because I think the non-revenue sports, most feel that the school themselves should come out of their own pockets and not let that be a part of the rev share, because the rev share means that you generate revenue and you're sharing in that growth. They're not really helping with that. Anyway, but I digress. Point being is that now we're starting to see some movement and some flexibilities, because if other sports are stepping up, like to your point, Jake, in regards to volleyball or softball, right? Look at the Texas Tech. They are putting a ton to their softball program, which is now why they're able to get young ladies out of the portal and paying them $1 million, right, to come play softball at Texas Tech. Obviously, you look at the Lady Huskies, right, at University of Connecticut, also looking at the South Carolina, right, Lady Gamecocks. They've won a couple of natties, and, they're throwing more money to those programs. And so we're now starting to see a little bit of a shift Jake, and it's going to be interesting to kind of see as we continue to grow in this world, what's going to happen, right? How is this going to be truly, moved around? Are they going to move it around every year based off of certain things, right? Are they going to allow boosters to come in, still give to just the normal rev share or the TV contracts, but then also be allowed to earmark, X number of funds to, those other said sports, right, to continue to help them build and grow? Who knows? But all I know is that it is starting to vary a little bit, and the success is dictating that as well.
And I think the point that needs to be further emphasized on that is as these contractual negotiations take place and as these talks behind the scenes with general managers and coaches really go on, I think your point there of the success of a program really dictates how that conversation goes. Because, like, let's say if it's a South Carolina, right, where women's basketball under Dawn Staley and what the Lady Gamecocks have been able to do, that is the priority. Multiple national championships, great WNBA talent, and a lot of media attention comes to that program. So it's understandable when they say, we may put things like baseball on the back burner because that's where the priorities lie. And it can be harsh to hear that and think, well, my kids should always be the priority. As well they should, and as well they are here at Protection United. We try and make sure that that is the forefront of the argument, but you also have to understand that the programs aren't necessarily going to agree with you, but the fair fight that you're going to get here in terms of trying to get that contractual negotiation to be fair compensation is what really is going to come down, is what that's really going to come down to.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that, Jake. And we're deep in it right now, right?
Yes.
I would say above knee deep in regards to the contract negotiations that I've been having, and they all have been great. Big shout out to all the general managers that we've been blessed to be currently working with, and they all have been awesome. Very responsive. Doing what we're asking of them, sending what we need to send. But at the end of the day, right? Nothing is closed until that dotted line is signed and the ink is dry. So we are in the midst of talking with these GMs, getting the contracts, reviewing them, going through everything like a fine-tooth comb. Found some mistakes. Some of our guys are probably happy that I found a couple things in there that's going to be protecting them, no pun intended there. Some dollar figures that were not, matching, and we were able to catch that as well, right? Just another layer of protection that we do here at Protection United, right? A lot of our competitors just like to read the first page, and then they want to calculate their commission, and they're like, yep, everything looks good, right? Well, we actually invest more, right? We have an in-house attorney team, right, that we take out of our commission fees in order to ensure that all contracts are read from page 1 to page 30 to ensure that everything is laid out the right way, because we care more about our guys here than what can be put in our pockets. And I just feel that's the way it should be, Jake.
No doubt on that. And I think it highlights to how far things have come from what we can consider now to be the NIL era, but I like to break up the NIL era into two different phases here as well. I like to think of it as we're currently in the regulation era. Things have been ironed out. You have contractual negotiations. We've broken up revenue shares, so that way every team sort of has now a salary cap that you have to allocate to each specific team. Let me take you back in a time machine here, a way back machine. To
way back as in 3 years ago.
but still.
Okay.
Allow me to regale you with some of the stories of what we could consider the pre-regulation era of the NIL. And we keep it especially with regards to football, because that's where the wildest of the stories really seem to come out.
Wild West, Jake.
Wiki Wild West. Desperado. It used to be wild back in that era.
If I could just tell y'all some of the deals that we saw in regards to DJ Lagway, and like just everything that we saw, we heard, and I mean, it would be too Hollywoodish. Like people be like, "Oh, y'all putting too much Hollywood on this." Like, but no, it was true, because when NIL first came to fruition, it was no restrictions, at all. It was wide open. Like you could have boosters, you could have the school, you could have outside collectives, you could have oil and gas guys. You could have tech guys. Whoever had money and wanted to give to their favorite team to go get, the next 4 or 5-star athlete, you could do it.
Yep. And I mean, you talk about even just going back a second before that. You talk about the 80s where it was SMU got the death penalty for that type of activity. Miami nearly got the death penalty because of Nevis Shapiro in them.
Yeah.
But now it's just
wait, and also don't forget Uncle Luke.
Uncle Luke.
He said he didn't do nothing, but the way he smiled on that documentary, I don't know if he was telling us the truth.
I don't know about
Luke,
that.
You look like you were doing some things.
But then when the NIL era began, it seemed like all those guys finally came out of the woodwork and said, my time is now. Now I get to throw everything I want at my favorite programs. And we'll start out with a story out of the University of Alabama and the Crimson Tide, where Bryce Young made some significant splashes before his first ever start as the quarterback. Eventually, he would go on to win the Heisman, but before he started his career, he signed over $800,000 worth of NIL deals and endorsements.
Yeah, career Jesus, if you could put that picture up of Bryce Young so we can remind the ones when he was in college. There's baby Bryce, okay? Awesome. You come back to us now. But yeah, so this was crazy.
Yes.
I mean, he was that first $1 million guy. And I remember Nick Saban saying, this guy's going to make all this money, and he hasn't even stepped on the field yet.
Which, for how much of an advocate Nick Saban was for the regulation of NIL, and even just saying, I don't want to be a part of this anymore, it was wild to hear him say that this guy is making almost, quote, 7 figures.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was that, I think, was probably the first story that, I heard. Obviously, was music to, a lot of people's ears that were like, oh, wait, I got a kid that's coming up, and this is what's about to happen. And this is going to be the transition of where college football is heading. But, Bryce was that first one to where you were like, wow, like it's like the NBA draft where they draft off potential, right, of where they think you're going to be. And that was what happened with Bryce Young's NIL deal. Now, obviously, they got it right, had a, amazing career. Alabama's still having amazing career in the NFL. Didn't play so well last night. Did not do what he needed to do. They should have just given the ball to Rico Dowdle more. That's for my fantasy team. We'll move on. But yes, they got it right? He's a young man, and he defeated all odds. He's only 5'10", and that was the other thing that people questioned, but he got it done. And, this was probably that first big splash where we heard, of course, there were some LSU things that followed behind there. And, of course, Jaden Daniels and the whole documentary of the money game, and when they followed Angel Reese, and, of course, the gymnast, right? Track star. Yep. And, and a walk-on basketball player at LSU, right? Which was also a part of the Wild Wild West.
And it was seen very much, too, as that recruiting tool that a lot of people feared NIL would become in that era of, we're throwing $1 million at this guy and he isn't even starting. Come get a piece of that action, Alabama. But some other teams took some very interesting strategies as well away from that in terms of seeing NIL as an opportunity to promote their players. And one of the guys that did it better than anybody else was Deion Primetime Sanders.
Coach Prime.
Who did an excellent job in his first couple of years at Colorado in terms of making sure there was a team-wide effort to promote and elevate all of his guys on the social media side.
Yeah, exactly. And what he did, which I thought was amazing, was he basically had them put their Instagram and their Twitter pages. Back then, it was still Twitter. We know it's X now, but back then, and had that on the back of their practice jerseys. So then that way, when people would come watch the documentary on Prime, right, which was Coach Prime, you could actually see that, and you could actually go follow those young men. And that was just another recruiting tactic as well that I found to be very intriguing because that made people want to not just come play for Coach Prime because of who he is, but he also created a pathway of how you can make money off of the field, right? So not only will you make money on the field like what we just saw with Bryce Young, but now you can go get those outside endorsement deals. And if those branding companies like you, guess what? you now have an opportunity for them to be able to connect with you because all they got to do is just get their team to go follow you on social media. And the other thing that I like too about this whole setup was the fact that he had all the cameras around because of Amazon Prime, doing the documentary or docuseries or whatever you want to call that. It's a show that comes on every season, but those guys got to show their personalities. They got to show how well they conduct themselves in front of a camera. And then look what led to all the success, right? And the thing that's crazy was that it was more than just Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. Like, they had about 20 guys that all had high-level six-figure NIL deals off of the field.
And I like, too, that this was very much the more people talk about Colorado and the more people talked about Deion Sanders in those early years, too, through that sort of close association, you're now talking about me. You're talking about all of us.
Right.
And so all of the coaches and all the players saw huge upticks in their social media followings. And then that leads to more lucrative deals. You get to bring those numbers and say, hey, check out my increase since we dropped that show. I gained 2,000 followers.
Right.
Let's renegotiate.
And every brand company that we've talked to, Jake, the first question they even ask before we can even get through introducing ourselves, how many followers does your guy have on TikTok? How many followers does your guy have on Instagram? That's all they care about because they understand that that's where they're going to be marketing their products and they need to make sure that their brand is going to be seen by a good number of people.
Yes.
Right. And so kudos to Coach Prime that he got that part right, and I know he learned that from Jerry Jones, right? Being a Cowboy and getting to understand the business side of it. And, I applaud him from, not trying to reinvent the wheel, but just find a way to do it on a collegiate level.
And we talked about, too, some of the very ways that NIL can go right for a program. And we brought up that debate of pay for play when it came to Bryce Young. And now we're going to shift gears and talk about when things can go wrong for a program and what really sparked that debate of pay for play and what may have initially brought up that issue of salary caps and revenue shares. We are, of course, talking about Texas A&M's disastrous 2022 recruiting class when they were led by none other than Jimbo Fisher, what was the highest rated recruiting class in the history of college football.
Yeah, I mean,
rumored to have been heavily influenced by NIL deals and negotiations going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, before we even get to that, go back to that picture, Computer Jesus. That's why I was trying to interrupt Jake. I want that. Look at the face. Like, you talk about
somebody has lost the plot, and I think I know who it is.
He is lost in the sauce. Like, Jimbo looks so lost and so confused. All right, you can get it off now. I don't want to lose our Aggie fans followship, right? That follows the show. But they're happy he's gone. And so they're not mad at me for that. But I mean, the highest rated recruiting class in the history of A&M, I mean, it was like they were just going to buy mercenaries to come in. And they were spending money left and right. I forgot, I think it was Saban or maybe it was Kirby Smart that called him out. And Jimbo got in his feelings and got all defensive. I think it might have been Saban. And, he wanted to kind of go down a whole nother dark hole of what everybody knew was happening with every program, and he wanted to call him out. At the end of the day, he didn't get it done.
Nope.
They spent a lot of money. They made the mistake of just throwing the money out and thinking that these guys were going to do right by it, which another thing that the revenue share has gotten right to where now the money's being paid every month. A lot of these players don't get paid in the month of December, and then they don't get paid again until late January after the portal has opened and closed, just to kind of protect, resources. Whereas A&M was like, hey, we'll just give it to you all in June.
It's not the way to go.
It's
not the way to do it.
No, and then next thing you know, it's out of control. Now, this was the Wild Wild West.
Yes.
A&M might have unlimited amount of money, but Aggie Nation, you've seen they've got it right now, right? The revenue share has helped you. They hired Elko, which he came from Duke, where things were tight there.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about Monday not going 80% to football.
80% to basketball.
Yeah. Can we give it to Cooper Flag? And then football, y'all get the rest.
And then bring in the boozers.
Yeah. Now, I will say that by the rules of the law way set up, the majority of the money does have to go to football, but it just says the majority, which means that I think they could break that down to where if 51% goes to football, that's still majority, right?
Yep.
Which means that 49% can be spread out over the course of a lot. So if they want to give 39% to men's basketball, right, and then go 5-5, then that's what they do. With ladies ball and the other Title IX sports. But yeah, they seem to have got it right now. They're doing a good job. They're still undefeated.
Yes,
got the right guys, and we'll see what happens against your Longhorns on Friday. Or is it Friday or Saturday?
No, it's Friday.
Friday night.
It's Friday.
Black Friday.
They always play that one after Thanksgiving. It's the day after Thanksgiving they play that one. But it's been, I believe it's now 5,000 something days since A&M beat Texas in football. So
wow,
we're looking to keep that streak alive.
Okay.
Justin Tucker broke a lot of hearts when that rivalry ended in 2011. And then we took care of business in Aggie land again last year. But
Jake,
I digress.
Yeah, do that.
I digress.
Lose our audience.
We'll end it on a positive note. Because of that. And a team that actually beat my Longhorns last year, and that was Ohio State during 2024, and a team that definitely got things right, as they were led by none other than obviously Ryan Day, as he got to lift the championship trophy for that year. But Jay, you pointed out, and we were in the preparation for this show, of just how deep it went in terms of getting this roster together, in terms of getting the right quarterback and getting the right pieces around him while retaining a lot of those guys that could have made the jump, not only into the transfer portal, but to the NFL.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Here, we talked about A&M and kind of poked at them, but Ohio State did get it right. Yes, did they spend over $20 million in forming that team? Which was the highest in NCAA for the 2024 season. But what they did and the way that they did it just really showed the positive side of what NIL can do, because I'm about to say some names, or rather, Jake, I'll have you say the name so I don't botch the pronunciations of them. But they held on to some guys that Jake's about to say some names that's going to be like, wait, this guy's on my fantasy team, and he's one of the top rookies in the NFL.
Yes, and we start out with none other than Buccaneers wide receiver Emeka Egbuka, a guy who
killing it.
He was looking out there like he might mess around and win Rookie of the Year.
Right,
with
exactly.
his performances.
Yeah.
So you hold on to him. You hold on to Travion Henderson.
Running back for the Patriots. Another dude that's killing it.
You get to hold on to both of those guys, but then hold on just a little bit more. Jack Sawyer, one of the leaders on that defensive front, and now a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Right.
You bring him back. Denzel Burke, and a great opportunity there for him to come back.
Right.
All of those guys.
All of them. Forego their right to go to the NFL draft. And Ohio State had to come up with enough money to entice them to say, just stay for one more year. Stay for one more year. We're going to compensate you. Yeah, we don't know all the details of it, and that's the way it's supposed to be, right? You don't want to blow up a locker room by telling everybody what one person's making, because that can create dissension. However, we know that they got paid good money because they were ready for the NFL last year, right?
And then not only retaining those guys, but then they got savvy and they went into the transfer portal, as a lot of teams do, but they didn't go all out on a whole lot of guys. They said,
the right guys.
We need to find the right guys that fit this team. And they found a lot of them. And they found two that we wanted to highlight in particular, of Caleb Downs, who, if you know football, you know the name Caleb Downs.
Right.
Was a star out of Alabama. He comes over to Ohio State. And then, of course, Quinshon Judkins also joins the Buckeyes in a transfer out of Ole Miss.
I started him in fantasy and got a win this last week. That's my point. That's my point.
Come on now.
So you get those guys in the portal, and then last but not least, you go get a Will Howard that, people were probably questioning, why would they want him? He was at Kansas State. He was just mid, not really the greatest of QBs. They didn't really need the greatest. They needed somebody that had a lot of game experience, that had already kind of been battle tested, also at a quarterback that can make teams play 11-on-11 football. And that's what he did.
Yes.
And they didn't have to go spend a lot of money to get him. And then the only freshman that needed to be significantly compensated is the great Jeremiah Smith. And we all saw what he did in the college football playoffs last year.
Yes. So smart spending, smart allocation, I think, more than anything, of knowing where that money needs to be spent, knowing that we don't need to go and get the 5-star guy out of the transfer portal, especially for even a quarterback, where you would think a lot of schools say, shoot, we need to go all in to get a quarterback. We need to go all in. They said, no. Smart, savvy, experience. And then we'll allow the pieces around him to flash.
And with Will, I'll guarantee you this conversation was, hey, yours won't be as big as on the transactional side, but this is what you're going to get to throw the football to, hand the ball off to, and you got a chance to win a natty. And then in turn, that's going to help your potential draft stock because you will be the guy that led us.
Yes. And because of that, they set the world on fire. They did an excellent job. They obviously ended up lifting the national championship trophy, a team that sort of had to, I don't know if sneak in is the right word, but with how loaded the Big Ten was last year, they had to go all of those rounds, starting with their game against Tennessee.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they left no doubt
Right.
when the clock struck zero in the
Right.
national championship game.
Facts.
So we've seen how things can go right, folks. And with that positive note and the confetti raining down on the
Yeah.
Buckeyes,
There it is.
we got to conclude this
There it
week's
is.
episode, Jay. This was a good one.
It was.
I
It's
hope that
fun.
each of y'all thought this was a good one as well. We appreciate y'all's support, both watching the live stream as well as watching the videos as they go up on demand, both on YouTube as well as audio sources. Jay, this one was a blast.
It was, man. Once again, guys, everybody have a amazing Thanksgiving. We have a big show coming next Tuesday, and we appreciate everybody tuning in and watching today.
Say, if you thought this one was exciting, folks, y'all ain't ready for what's coming down on December 2nd, but we'll wait for that to come to fruition in due time. And with that, folks, that does it for this episode of the Weekly Fall. Oh, forgive me. Jay. I'm crossing the streams.
That's our
I'm crossing the streams.
You getting
For
confused
the
on our
Protect
too.
You podcast. If you do want to check out, though, the Weekly Fallout, the other show that Jay and I do where we talk exclusively high school football, be sure to check that out over on Woodlands Online. They've been great supporters for us here at Protection United as well. So just spreading a little bit of the love, that family vibe
on
of
my
Thanksgiving.
favorite, on my favorite week. I'm with it.
But with that, folks, that does it for the Protect You podcast. Jake Wilson is always alongside it. Jay Mickens, Justin Woods was our producer. We hope to catch you all in the next one, and we'll see you around.